Welcome back to episode 5 of the Top Button Podcast, signing day wrap up edition. I'm Charlie 5, your host, and we are ready to recap this historic recruiting class. Yes, it is. It is. And I'm going to explain why. This historic recruiting class, what it means for the future, talk about one of the most important players of the class, and talk about what's next. It's going to be a blast. But before we do that, we want to give a shout out to someone who's even more excited than we are, and that is Ford, our boy Ford Stokes with Active Wealth Management. Look, Ford's got a book that you guys got to check out, okay? It's on annuity360.net. He can give you a free copy. That's the site you go to, give you a free copy. I cheated. I listened to it on audiobooks. You can download it on Audible as well. I read it. It's helping me, and it'll help you safely grow your money as well. There's cool rules that it's got in it to invest by, like the 4% rule, the rule of 100, or the rule of 72. I never knew any of those before I read this book. And like I said, I checked it out on the audiobook. So if you can't handle the hard copy stuff, you can listen to it on audio as well. So visit annuity360.com and check, and you can request the book. Ford will send it to you. He'll autograph it for you, write you a little War Eagle note and everything. Great guy, great asset to have if you like to be active, you like wealth, and you like to have your wealth managed. Ford Stokes is your guy. And he's a huge Auburn guy too. So check him out. Active Wealth Management, annuity360.net for the free book. Love it. All right, guys. This is not exaggerating. This is not even really booging. This is just reality. Okay. We just signed from top to bottom the deepest class that from a talent perspective that Auburn has, I would say Auburn's ever had in the modern recruiting rankings era. Now, I'm sure there's probably some classes back in the 80s that people would be like, hey, you don't know about these Pat Dye classes. And I'm sure that's the case. I don't have any kind of type of rating system to go off of. I'm just saying, in the modern era of rating players with stars, with player grade ratings from top to bottom, I don't think there's any class that we've ever had that is as deep as this one. Now, we have had, you're going to say, oh, Charlie 5, Gus did it several times. We had some top 5 classes. Yes, we did. Gus finished a few times. I think maybe once at 5, maybe twice at 6, depending on what recruiting service you did look at. But the difference in those classes and this class is those classes there was one in particular. I think in 2011, we signed close to 30 dudes. Okay. So you had a lot of guys to spread the points around, whatever, to get that magical number of, I think the way that a lot of sites do is they take your top 17. So you got all these different players that you can pull from to put in your top 17. And pump your points up. But the average player rating, there's never been one like this. I think like I said, let's see, I got some statistics. In 2010, we had the sixth overall class. It was 14th when it comes to average player rating. So if you took the rating of every single player in the class and you averaged it up, we're 14th in the country. Okay. 6th overall, 14th in the country. 2011, 5th overall, 10th in average player rating. 2014, 6th overall, 14th in average player rating. Probably the closest class that we've had that you can compare to this one is 2015. We had the 8th overall class and the 7th in average player rating. We finished, depending on what site you look at, 7th. I know we're 7th on 247. I think we're 7th as well on On3. Rivals has a little bit of a different rating system. I don't really. It's hard. It's really hard to get a good idea because it's just stars. It's just stars. They don't do the grade number in like these other guys do. So we're seventh overall. Here's the kicker: fourth in the country in average player rating. So you take every single player in our class, you take their grade, you add it up, and you divide by the number of commits. This is the most talented, deep signing class that we have ever had in the history of Auburn. Okay. And there's just no ifs, ands, buts about it. It just is. It's historic. The very first full recruiting class for Hugh Freeze, we knew that that was his calling card. We knew that was one of the things that I was excited about him about. I knew that recruiting is the lifeblood of a program in the SEC, and this is something that Hugh Freeze absolutely thrives doing. He thrives in households. He thrives bringing kids on visits, and he turned the tide on the view of how, I guess, all like the view of Auburn that's been put out there over the last 4 or 5 years of we're not where we need to be as a program. We're middle of the road SEC. We're a middle of the road to lower end of the road SEC program, and I think he took that image and he sold something on the future, and he has I think he's turned a ton of heads and kind of put everybody on notice that he's here to play. He's here to play. And this class had a little bit of everything. You had your longtime commits that you signed, you committed early, like Amon Lane Gaines, who was our very first commit and never wavered, and we kept him through. He committed actually, I think in the Harsin era, and stayed committed throughout the whole time. You had so just you had your regular commits, you had your flips, you had your last minute additions with Amaris Williams, and really, if you really think about it, you only lost one guy that you could say arguably we didn't want to lose, and that's with Jalewis Solomon. So, like, you brought in guys and you didn't lose them. You brought in guys and you sold them. They were fired up and they didn't go anywhere. There was a little bit of a scare with Perry Thompson. I think a lot of that was probably manufactured, not necessarily by him. But other than that, like, there wasn't even really a doubt. Like, you didn't go into signing day like thinking that you could possibly lose multiple recruits. What if you're Florida? What if we're Florida? Florida started the weekend before the weekend at as a top 5 class, and they got absolutely pillaged. We're one of the culprits of taking some of their top rated players. And they end up in, I think, 15, 16. I think I saw one site that had them at 19. Like that's there's no reason that's not on the table, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen with this class. They seem to buy in. They seem to be like genuinely like each other, genuinely like to chirp back and forth and recruit together. Just all around, man. Almost every position group got a lot better. A lot better. Wide receiver, DBs, linebackers, defensive line, quarterback. The only two position groups that you probably feel like you left a little meat on the bone, I guess, would be the running back. We did not bring in a running back in this class. Really wasn't a necessity. Really was not a necessity. And there weren't just a ton of, I guess there really weren't just a ton of guys that we really caught traction with early outside of, Jamarian Burnett, who really was not a huge fit. I don't even know where he ended up signing. Seems like it was Missouri, but I don't know that for 100% fact. So you had him, you kind of mutually parted ways there. And there was really just no one else that you really felt like you had to have. You got Jarquez Hunter coming back. more than likely. He hasn't officially announced. Everybody kind of feels like that's going to happen. You got Damari Alston, who was before his injury was having a breakout season, and he was running like an absolute maniac in the Iron Bowl. He's going to be back. He's going to be even better. You got Jeremiah Cobb, who was the very few times that he got touches, like you saw how great that kid's going to be. And then you got Brian Battie coming back. So you got four dudes that can do different things, all be explosive. There was really just no reason to reach on a running back. And now you have something to sell for 2025. Hey, we didn't take a running back last year. That's because we were waiting on you, whoever that may be. So running back, you did not add there. And then offensive line, dadgummit, I don't know why it seems like we're snake bit at offensive line, but you did add two very, very talented offensive linemen, and then you missed on honestly several targets. This was one of the if you just look at the geographic region that we typically recruit, I would say this is one of the weakest offensive line classes that I can remember in recent memory. I've done the numbers before on how many 4- and 5-star targets there were, and there just weren't. This is one of the lowest in maybe a decade. Like it was just a really, really low talent class, a lower end on quantity of talent in this class, in this area. I mean, we had to get our best offensive lineman from California. So that was going against us. Offensive line recruitments are done super early. Like that, those relationships are built super early. Those kids commit early and they stick for the most part. So we were behind the 8 ball there. I think you're going to see. We've already got one offensive line commit for 2025. There's several irons in the fire there that you've had one whole year to kind of prepare yourself for 2025. I think you're going to see a lot more movement there. It's going to be a massive emphasis. You're probably taking at least 5 high school guys. So you add, but the guys that you do add, again, DeAndre Carter. I don't think people realize this, but modern day high school that he goes to in California, that he went to in California, is it's basically a low-level college program. They're one of the top programs in the whole country as far as high school goes. And this guy started on the offensive line for 4 years at that school. That is unheard of at that school. An interior road grader, just smash mouth offensive lineman. He's going to be way developed for a high school guy. This is just not your typical adding a 4A, 5A high school offensive lineman. This is almost, he's got a little bit to do with reshaping his body, but that could happen over summer. That could happen over summer in the weight room. And he's going to be competing to be on the field early. Very happy, very, very excited about him. Had to battle Texas, who Texas in their own right, Texas had an unbelievable class, and they're going to be a recruiting force, and they came after him hard, and you battled and you kept him. Again, that was a theme. You land top guys, and then you keep them. And it wasn't like these were dudes, again, that nobody wanted. These are guys everybody wanted, but you battle and you keep them. DeAndre Carter, he's going to be a name that we're all going to know very, very soon, because I think, he met this year may be tough for him to get on the field, but after this year, he's going to be your anchor. Him along with Connor Lew, that could be your anchors moving forward, or at least one more year. He may at least get 1 year to play with Connor Lew, but still, those guys are going to be household names. And then Seth Williford, relatively unknown a lot as far as didn't know a ton about him other than he just seemed to be our number one JUCO offensive tackle target. He just seemed to be the guy that's the one we wanted from the beginning. He finally commits, and then it comes out he's rated first team All-American JUCO at left tackle. That's your All-American JUCO tackle. Those rankings just were released like within the last few days. Like, JUCO stats, JUCO football in general, there's just not a lot of publicity. There's not a lot of press on it. So you get him. He's hasn't had a ton of eyes on him. And turns out you get a 6'6", 310-pound first team All-American JUCO tackle. I mean, that's got 3 years to play. That's another key. Like this, a JUCO, a guy that's got 3 years to play. You saw what happened with Xavier Miller, who stepped into the lineup right away from JUCO. This guy, and honestly, Xavier Miller probably needed to have a year of development, but he came in, he had success, and he jumped in right away. So you got Seth Wilfred. Let's see what happens, man. He'll get in there. He'll have at least he'll have a year to get adjusted before before he's like 100% needed. I think that's huge, man. An All-American JUCO offensive tackle with 3 years to play, and we don't have to play him right away. Like, he can come in and he can work out. He can learn the playbook. He can ease in and not just be thrown in the fire. What is that like? What do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, that's just not something that we're used to. That's not the kind of things that we're used to. We're used to Band-Aid and Band-Aid offensive lines, essentially. That's what we've been used to for the past, seems like a decade. And hopefully that is ending soon. Another thing that I think not a lot of people know about that I don't think can be said enough is when you talk about the wide receiver class speaks for itself. I mean, and I want to talk about one in general in just a second, but the wide receiver class speaks for itself. Cam Coleman, consensus 5-star, Perry Thompson, 5-star, and then your 2 top 150 wide receivers. And then obviously you're not going to stop recruiting Ryan Williams until it's over. But this linebacker class, holy cow, guys. It's not only is it a class of highly rated guys, they're all already on campus and practicing. That's never that again. They're here and they're practicing. You got Barber, who I've said I think he's going to be the best player out of the group. That's here from Clay Chalkville, state champion, made the play to win the state championship, made the tackle to win the state championship. You got DeMarcus Riddick, who they're like, this guy is all over the place. He's the fastest linebacker in the class in on the team right now, and he's not even really technically a real true freshman. He's going to get 2 springs essentially. He's going to get bowl practice. He's going to get a spring. And then you got Joseph Phillips, who is an absolute beast. You got a 6'2", 6'3", 240-pound freshman that's going to be out there that can play edge. He can stand up. He's going through practice too. Like, it's that just doesn't happen. And they're not the only ones, but that's just the linebacker group in general. And then you still got, hey, guess what? You still got Jamonta Waller that's coming in. That's going to play a little bit of outside linebacker, edge, super athletic guy. I mean, I don't know that you can find a better class out there than that. It's just it's something special. And a lot of these guys are getting in and getting on campus. The defensive line class, Malik Blockton, 4-star interior defensive lineman from Montgomery Pike Road. He's already practicing. That's Marcus Harris's little brother. It's just, man, it seems like you went out and you found great talent, but you found a bunch of great kids, and over half the class is going to enroll early. So over half the class is going to be here in January. There's very few that are enrolling. There's very, very few that are enrolling in summer. So you're getting a bunch of guys in, high talent, high caliber guys that are going to get a whole spring in a college weight room to kick off their college careers. That is huge. That's absolutely huge. So no matter how the finish was, I understand that we felt like we had a shot at something incredibly special. You had 4 or 5 targets out there that you were fighting tooth and nail to get. And you did get one of them. You did get Amaris Williams to successfully flip. What a consolation prize for a, if you want to call the worst case scenario, you only add one out of your 4 and 5 targets. Not so bad that one is a top 40 recruit in the country. I'll take it. I'll take it. That guy that catapulted us from 10 to 7. Yeah. That's, if that's worst case scenario on signing day, sign me up every signing day for that. I'll take that. But yeah, it's a special class. I know that, like I said, we thought we possibly had a chance at, like a KJ Bolden and an LJ McCray. And we did. We fought to the very, very end. I don't care what he says. He's, oh, I knew 3 weeks ago I was going to Georgia. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like, I don't know why kids have to do that. Like, why LJ McCray has to say, oh, rock solid, stuff like that. Like, rock solid, you're supposed to sign at 9 o'clock, bro. You're supposed to sign at 9 o'clock, and then you didn't. Why didn't you? Okay, I'll tell you why. Is because Hugh Freeze was not giving up. The Tigers weren't giving up, and we gave them a lot to think about. And that's the kind of battles, and that's what you're going to have when you're going after these top guys. You are going to have to literally battle until ink hits the paper. And sometimes it's going to work, and sometimes it's not. The consolation prize for today was we flipped the top 40 recruit. If you're mad about that, or if you're upset about that, or if you feel like that's not good enough, I don't know that you're going to ever be able to be satisfied when it comes to recruiting. So enjoy it, soak it in, gloat some. I mean, you have a top 7 class and the number 4 class in the country as it relates to average player ranking. Like, that's not just some bogus like stat to try to make yourself feel good. I mean, that just means your class top to bottom is full of high level kids. Like, there's no filler bodies to just fill out a class. Like, it's all dudes that could play from top to bottom. So really, really fired up about yesterday, really fired up about how everything's played out. It's been such a fun ride, and I'm ready already to get started on 2025. And we're going to dive into some of the people to watch for in later episodes. But I just wanted to blow up as much, boog out over this class because, man, we got something special. You got better in so many areas that and I haven't even talked about Walker White. And we'll talk about how special I think Walker White's going to be also in later episodes. But I want to make a confession right now. Okay. I do have a confession. I lied to you guys. If those of you who listen to me on Locked on Auburn on Tuesdays, I said that I've been asked multiple times about Perry Thompson. I've always said, no worries whatsoever. No worries. He's solid. And it turns out he was, but I lied. I was worried sick. I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely, I'm just going to come clean. I was absolutely worried sick. So much so that there were times where I had extreme doubts. And honestly, I was a little bit angry that the way things were playing out. The night before signing day, I sort of had an epiphany that I need to sack up, I guess, and we need to show this guy, and instead of worrying, show this guy how much you appreciate him. I mean, Perry Thompson, DeMarcus Riddick was first one of the big flips, but Perry Thompson was the guy that I feel like really showed that Hugh Freeze is here to play. He's here to play hardball, and he's not scared to battle it. Auburn's never gotten a guy out of Foley. I mean, we've never gotten a guy out of Foley. Maybe a higher ranked kid out of Baldwin County is maybe never happened. I mean, you had You've had guys like TJ Yeldon flip on you. You've had DJ Fluker, Julio Jones. You just Baldwin County's just been sort of a area that we've just been sort of snake bit. I guess Anthony Mix from Bay Minette's probably one of the better players that we've ever gotten, but he was not, incredibly highly rated. To go into Foley and flip a long-time Alabama commit, not one that they were okay with you flipping at all. One that they threw everything you can imagine. I cannot imagine the pressure and the I cannot imagine what was thrown at this kid from Nick Saban to the people in that area to the Alabama boosters, the late night attempts to flip, stuff like that. I cannot imagine what that guy had to go through, what that kid had to go through, and he stuck with us. And I'm sorry that I ever doubted it. I'm sorry that I ever doubted Perry. I'm sorry that I ever tried to act like I wasn't worried and lied. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I should not be allowed to be happy that when he balls out at Auburn. I shouldn't be allowed. So if he catches a touchdown pass, y'all just let me know. Hey, Charlie 5, you don't deserve to be happy for Perry Thompson. I'm going to be, but I don't deserve it. Well, we do not deserve Perry Thompson. Let me just go ahead and let me just say that, say that. So I'm probably more excited about him than anybody. Like I said, he started it off, and you don't start him off. You're not starting off with somebody that's just an average player. You're talking about one of the best players in the state, 5-star wide receiver who could play multiple positions on the football field, who could be an All-American safety, who could be a All-SEC linebacker. This is the guy you're going to have going up against 6 foot, 190-pound DBs, absolutely destroying them. You're talking about a full-grown man wide receiver who can run a sub 4.5. He claims 4.3. Him and Cam Coleman raced on Instagram Live. He can absolutely fly. In a 6'3", 200 plus pound, just behemoth wide receiver. You're talking, NFL type body as a true freshman. He is going to be so incredibly special. A guy that can go get your 50-50 balls, and a guy that can run a slip screen and take it to the house. I am just so proud that he was able to withstand the pressure, and he was able to ride it out, and he basically got this wave going. He was one of the best recruiters, the biggest recruiters that we had. He was the one after the Malcolm Simmons, the Bryce Kane committed before him, but he was the one that was in on the Jamonta Wallers. He is the one that's in on all these guys that he got, that he got sort of hyped up around him. And I think we don't have the recruiting class anywhere near the recruiting class that we have if it's not for Perry Thompson. So, Perry, I'm so excited that you're joining this class, and I'm sorry I ever doubted you. So if you're listening out there, I'm sorry I ever doubted you. Looking forward so bad. He's a late enrollee. He'll get here in summer, but God Almighty, he's going to be he's so physically mature. He is going to be ready to go. I don't think he necessarily needs a spring. It'd be great for him to be here, but I don't think he necessarily needs it to get in there and make waves in the summer, in the weight room, in the throwing sessions, and then fall camp. You're going to have to tase him to keep him off the field. You're going to have to tranquilize this child to keep him off the field. True definition of a hulking super teen. Perry Thompson. Cannot wait to see this kid strap it up. Cannot wait. He gave us all a little bit of a heart attack at his ceremony today. He did the old hat switch and then throw both hats down and do the Cam Newton, rip open the jersey. That took a little bit longer than I would have liked to see that jersey. So I had a little bit of a heart attack, but man, what else can you say? What else can you say about Perry Thompson? So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Signing day's over. Early signing day's over. Pretty much you're done. There's obviously, it's no secret, Ryan Williams is still out there. You may take a look at what's left. There's going to be some guys that didn't sign. There's not going to be a ton of guys that are going to be like mega high caliber, but there could be some guys where you do some big time evals, overlooked, diamond in the roughs. There could be, a handful of those, one or two that you may find during this dead period that you could pursue. But more than likely, I think we're probably done on the high school level outside of Ryan Williams. We won't stop pursuing Ryan until the ink dries. Or he hits send. I don't even know how they do it now. I don't know if you do a DocuSign. I don't know if you do. I don't think you do the fax machine anymore. Whatever the last second until that's submitted and official, we're going to be battling for Ryan Williams. But what's next? So right now, this is what I was trying to tell a lot of people that were worried about the portal. Why aren't we having action in the portal? Well, the reason is because I've made this analogy before, but it's just like putting together a fantasy team, a daily fantasy team, and you have a budget, okay? And you cannot commit. You just can't commit to these portal guys that are overvaluing themselves that you probably could get. You probably could have gotten them. You can't go get them yet until you know how today shook out and you know what's left, how you recalibrate your NIL war chest to move forward. But now that the dust is settled, now is when you can really, really start pushing. You had, I think it was kind of an accident that it was announced so early, but you already had one addition on signing day yesterday. The Duke linebacker transfer, I can't pronounce his name. Hugh kind of leaked it. I don't want to say leaked it. I guess it was legit, but I don't know that the kid had made his announcement yet. But he had signed, so it was okay. As long as they're signed, you can say whatever. But Hugh said it in his signing day press conference that we had just added. Linebacker from Duke, 31 starts, lot of experience. Not a guy that we're going to necessarily have to depend on to be the main guy. But basically, I think you added a much more athletic, higher end Larry Nixon type player with this guy. And I've watched a little bit of his highlights. He made some plays that had a big interception against Clemson this year to sort of seal that game. This past season, just guy that brings a ton of experience. And he was added right off the bat. Okay. So you've got three portal commits. I think it's no secret. I think AJ Harris, 5-star DB transfer from Georgia, is going to be priority number one. And then you're going to start seeing there's already been an offer go out for a freshman offensive lineman from Georgia that's gone into the portal. He was a freshman this past season, so he was a part of last year's class. He's in the portal, so you're already starting to see offers go out there. And I think that's going to be over the next week to 2 weeks, you're going to see a lot of aggression on offers going out, on communications going out. They can't quite visit yet, but just lining everything up to get ready for that first big weekend where visitors can come in. That's the way it happened last year. I remember last year when the dead period lifted, and we had like 12 portal guys the first weekend. And that's the way it went last year. And that's the weekends we started to start hitting the big players that we needed to fill out the roster. It's just that this year, some things, I feel like players sort of pulled the trigger a little bit quicker at times. And we weren't necessarily 100% ready to just give them the 100% green light because we didn't know how today was going to finish, because there was a chance. I say today, there was a chance that yesterday that you had an opportunity, at least at some point in time, where you thought you were going to get, 3 or 4 of the guys out of that 5 that you were trying to get on signing day. So that's going to be the next big wave, is going to be watching guys go in the portal after their bowl games, watching guys that just finally decide they're ready to go ahead and pull the trigger and get in, and watch offers go out, and watch and see the positions, because I think offensive line is still a heavy, heavy need. If we can find that franchise guy at left tackle, which I said on the last show, or I said on Locked on Auburn, I still think Elijah Pritchett is going to be out there eventually. The 5-star offensive tackle who went in the portal, then went out of the portal from Alabama. I still think he's going to be out there eventually, or there's going to be guys, maybe not all the way quite of that caliber, but close to that caliber. I still think you need to add I think you probably still need to add a big time outside wide receiver, just so you're not completely just 100% freshman going into next year. So you're not completely throwing them into the fire where they can, at least sort of have a little bit of training wheels before they're just, let go into college football. So obviously that, you got AJ Harris, maybe one more DB. I think you're going to add want to add at least 2 more defensive linemen. Look out for Derek Harmon from Michigan State. Big defensive lineman. I think he's a very big, high priority. So again, you're going to be looking to add a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of defensive linemen, a receiver at least, and then a couple of DBs, and you've already added your linebacker. And then the $1 million question. The $1 million question is, what happens at quarterback? I feel like the fan base is kind of torn here. There's a big number that says, hey, we got to have somebody new. Go get a Cam Ward. Go get a whoever. Go get a quarterback. We got to have a quarterback. And then there's some that say, hey, there's a lot to be said about having a year 2 in the same system. There's a lot to be said about, not having to go back and start all over again. And there's a lot to be said about, hey, can we surround Peyton Thorne with or Holden Garner, if we surround them with more talent, more weapons, and if we can protect them better, are we better served to do that than overspend on a 1-year rental quarterback? So I don't know the answer to that. I feel like right now that it's going to be a Peyton Thorne and Holden Garner battle in spring. And you may, if the winner, if the winner of that causes the loser to leave after spring, you may go look and try to bring in a veteran guy in spring that could possibly be a backup or compete. So I really don't know where I land. I kind of feel like I land on just rolling with it, with all the success we've had, rolling with Thorne and rolling with Holden again. And just as long as we really, really get aggressive and going and find him at least one more big time receiver to complement Robert Lewis and to complement Rivaldo Fairweather, and maybe go get you at least one big time left tackle. If that affords you to be able to go get you a big time left tackle that again slides Dylan Wade inside, and then you have what you feel like could be a mega competitive, ultra competitive offensive line, and what you got in the running back room. So what's next after this historic signing day? It's portal season, baby. It never ends. So recruiting, go straight into portal, go straight back into recruiting, go straight back into portal, and it just never ends. And it's just like portal season sometimes can be more fun than recruiting because it goes so fast. You don't drag it out. It doesn't get drug out for months, and you have to wait and wait and wait. they're going to be ready to blow and go as soon as the dead period's lifted and they can start getting on campus again. So good news is I'm going to keep you up to date. I'm going to keep you in the loop as best I can, and we're gonna have fun throughout the whole thing, guys. I wish I would have been doing this all year. To be building this, building all the way up to this crescendo of signing day. But you know what? We're going to have a blast regardless moving forward. So, again, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Subscribe to the YouTube. Give me a like on the YouTube. It helps in the the search and the algorithms, all that good stuff, and help us grow so we can continue to pump out great content, Auburn content, and boog out for you guys. So thanks again. This has been episode 5. Don't forget to check out Active Wealth Management. Holler at Ford Stokes. Tell him I sent you, and tell him War Eagle. And we will catch you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Stay buttoned.